Hello, everyone. My name is Tyler Brooks. I'm 25 years old, and I work as a junior project manager at a construction company. I never imagined I'd find myself sharing such a personal story in a forum, but here I am, hoping for some perspective. About 4 months ago, my relationship with my ex-girlfriend, Haley, came to a sudden and unexpected end. We had been together for 4 years. We met during our senior year of college through mutual friends at a party. Haley was funny, easygoing, and deeply passionate about her studies in international relations. She had this incredible energy about her, and I was immediately drawn to the way she talked about the world. Our connection grew quickly, and after a few months of casual hangouts in different friend groups, we started dating seriously. When we both graduated, we moved into a small apartment together, feeling excited about building a life together. Haley came from a wealthy family. Her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Morgan, had always been generous with her, especially after all her hard work in college. As a gift for her graduation, they offered her a trip to Europe. I thought it was a sweet gesture at first, a wonderful opportunity for her to explore the world. But what followed quickly turned into a complete nightmare for me. One afternoon, about 4 months ago, Haley came home practically bouncing with excitement. I was sitting on the couch, scrolling through my phone, tired after a long day at work. She sat down beside me, kissed me quickly, and announced that she had big news. I was expecting something work-related. Maybe she landed an important interview or had exciting career news. Instead, she told me she was going to Europe for 3 months, leaving in just a week. I was absolutely stunned. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Sure, I knew she had talked about wanting to travel, but I always thought it was something we'd do together someday, after we had time and money. I never imagined she'd book such a trip on a whim, without any discussion. When I asked her what she envisioned for our relationship while she was gone, she gave me the blunt response that she wanted to do the trip as a single person. She didn't want to ruin the vibe with her friends, who, apparently, were all single. I was speechless. I couldn't wrap my head around how she could decide to go on such a life-changing trip without consulting me or even considering the impact on our relationship. I tried to suggest that I could join her for part of the trip, offering to take unpaid leave or vacation time from work, but she refused. She said this was something she needed to do for herself, a personal journey of self-discovery. I was furious, hurt, and completely blindsided. How could she rationalize cutting me out like that? It felt like I didn't matter at all to her. When I pressed her on why she needed to be single during this trip, she gave me 5 reasons. 1. She wanted to experience freedom without being tied down. 2. She needed to find herself and test standing on her own. 3. She believed that our relationship could grow stronger in the long run if we got some breathing room. 4. She didn't want to ruin the vibe with her friends, who were all single. 5. She thought this would be good for both of us in the long term. None of these reasons felt logical or fair to me. It was as if she had already made up her mind to be single and was just offering excuses to justify it. When I suggested that it seemed like she wanted the freedom to cheat or at least leave the door open for new experiences, she denied it vehemently. She insisted that wasn't her intention, but I couldn't shake the feeling that she just wanted to party without any strings attached. The week before her departure was one of the most tense times in our relationship. I became distant and cold, unable to shake the feeling that I had been blindsided. She, on the other hand, kept saying that she loved me, hugging me, and trying to convince me that everything would be fine. "We're just taking a break," she told me, as if that was supposed to make everything feel okay. But I couldn't help but feel more and more resentful. My sister, Monica, visited the night before Haley's departure. I told her everything, and she was firm in her advice. "Tyler, you can't let her walk all over you. Has she even thought about how you feel?" She was empathetic to Haley's dreams, but she reminded me that I had to think about what I wanted too. "You don't deserve to be treated this way," she said. On the other hand, Carter, my best friend, was far more direct. He said, "Honestly, If I were you, I'd tell her to leave and not come back. You don't do that to someone you love. He didn't sugarcoat things, but I appreciated his bluntness. He made me think about whether I could really trust someone who could so casually announce they wanted to be single without even consulting me. On the day Haley left, I actually helped her carry her luggage to the airport. Despite everything, I didn't want to be petty or cruel. She told me she would miss me, that she loved me, and promised this would be good for both of us. But as I gave her a cold hug goodbye, I felt empty inside. Later that day, after she had boarded her flight, I sat in our apartment and just stared at the wall. I felt lost. Should I break up with her? Should I wait? Could I trust her again? Not long after she left, I received a text from her during a layover. I love you. Remember, everything will be okay. I didn't respond. I was still too upset and confused. The first week after she left, I struggled. My job as a junior project manager is demanding, but even that couldn't keep my mind off of everything. Every time I opened Facebook or Instagram, there were more pictures of Haley. In the first post, she and her friends were out enjoying drinks, tagged with the caption, "Girls just want to have fun." Then, I saw that she had changed her relationship status to single. That was a gut punch. Without thinking, I changed mine to single too. It felt like the only thing I could do in that moment, a petty retaliation, but I couldn't help it. Every day, I saw more and more photos of her, smiling, dancing all night, hanging out with new people, enjoying her freedom. And there I was, sitting at home, questioning everything about our relationship and the future we had once envisioned together. I was seething with anger. It felt like a slap in the face, though I couldn't help but wonder if I was overreacting. But the sting of betrayal was undeniable. Haley had made her decision, and I had no say in the matter. I wasn't about to be the one to make the first move, though. I'd never even been given the chance to have a real conversation about everything before she left. After 2 weeks of trying to live in this emotional limbo, I realized I couldn't keep living like this. I needed closure, not uncertainty. I made a decision. I scheduled a viewing for a small one-bedroom apartment across town. I signed a lease and took control of my situation, putting an end to the life I had shared with Haley. I called our landlord and terminated our joint lease. I deregistered myself from all the bills we'd shared. At the same time, I blocked Haley on every social platform, changed my phone number, and wiped any trace of her from my life. It felt oddly liberating, like I was finally asserting control over my own future, instead of waiting around for someone who had clearly cast me aside. Monica, my sister, helped me pack up my things, while Carter, my best friend, came over to help. We cracked open a beer in my new, rather sterile one-bedroom apartment. It felt bittersweet, but a sense of freedom washed over me. I told them both, if Haley calls you or asks for my address, don't tell her anything. I just want to be left alone. Monica hesitated, but ultimately respected my wishes. Carter, however, was blunt as always. Why would we help her? She left you high and dry. She doesn't deserve your time now. In the months that followed, I threw myself into my work. I was determined to move on, and surprisingly, my dedication paid off. My department head started delegating more responsibility to me, which gave me a sense of purpose and accomplishment. With the cloud of the broken relationship finally gone, I received praise for my focus and drive. I even started meeting new people. I went on a few dates, though nothing serious. I wasn't looking for another Haley, but I wanted to keep an open mind and see what else was out there. I wasn't ready to dive into anything deep, but I couldn't stand the idea of being alone either. During this time, I grew close to Lauren, a co-worker. We had always exchanged polite greetings and brief chats at work, but when she found out I was going through a tough time, she reached out more often. She'd ask how I was doing, offer advice, and even suggested ways to help me move forward. We had lunch together a few times, and before long, we'd share coffee and catch up in the afternoons. There was a genuineness in her care that made her stand out. I began looking forward to our talks, enjoying her company in a way I hadn't expected. It wasn't romantic at first, just a friendly connection, but it became something more. She was my escape, someone who wasn't entangled in the history of my past relationship, and she genuinely seemed to care. Then, after 3 months, Haley returned to the States. I hadn't heard from her at all during the first 2 days after her return, and I wasn't surprised. But then my sister called. "Haley's been asking around," she told me. "She wants to know where you live now and what your new number is." I felt a pang of resentment, but I wasn't about to give her any of the information. Monica didn't either. My phone stayed silent for the next 2 days. I had finally managed to breathe easy. On the 3rd day, everything changed. I was leaving work late, feeling worn out, when I heard someone shout my name. I turned around and saw Haley standing there, her face flushed with frustration. She practically ran up to me and blocked my path. "Why have you ghosted me? How could you cut me off like this? Who do you think you are?" she demanded. I was caught off guard, my anger bubbling up. I tried to stay calm, but when she accused me of pretending like I didn't exist, I couldn't hold back anymore. "You're the one who decided we should be single when you left for Europe," I shot back. "You didn't give me a choice. I took you seriously, and I moved on. You ended it when you made that decision. I'm not waiting around for you to come back and pretend nothing happened." Just as things were heating up, Lauren walked out of the building. She glanced at the scene unfolding before her, and with a quick read of the situation, she placed a hand on my shoulder. "Is everything okay?" she asked gently. But before I could respond, Haley lashed out, accusing me of cheating and moving on with someone else. "Is this your new girlfriend?" she screamed. Lauren, never one to back down, fixed Haley with a cold stare and said, "Is this the girl who dumped you to travel around Europe and sleep with whoever she met? Honestly, you're lucky to be rid of her." It wasn't the most diplomatic response, but I could feel the relief wash over me. For the first time in months, someone had my back. Haley was livid. She yelled that Lauren didn't know the full story and continued to make a scene, drawing curious glances from passers-by. Lauren took my arm and urged me to walk away. We quickly crossed the street and headed towards a subway, but instead of entering, we turned in a different direction. We walked in silence for a while, then arrived at my new apartment. I had no choice but to invite Lauren in, but Haley wasn't done yet. She followed us, screaming my name, but I shut the door behind us. She pounded on it for a while before giving up. Inside, with the adrenaline of the confrontation still coursing through me, Lauren asked softly, "Are you okay?" "I'm sorry if I went too far." I nodded, still processing everything. "It's fine. I appreciate you being here," I said, though I couldn't help but feel a little guilty. Was I too harsh? Should I have at least let Haley explain herself? Lauren, as if reading my mind, kissed me. I froze, surprised. "I've wanted to do that for a while," she admitted. In that moment, everything clicked. I'd been so consumed by what Haley had done and where she was, that I hadn't noticed the connection growing between Lauren and me. We spent the rest of the night talking, and when we finally fell asleep, tangled in each other's arms, I felt like a new person. My thoughts on Haley faded into the background as I finally allowed myself to embrace the possibilities with Lauren. As the days passed, Lauren and I took things slow, but our bond deepened. She was everything I needed, intelligent, compassionate, and supportive. The contrast between her and Haley was night and day. With Lauren, I finally felt like the man I had been missing for so long. I no longer needed Haley's approval, and I wasn't waiting for her to come back. I had moved on, and for the first time in a long time, I felt truly free. Looking back, I wonder if I made the right choice in shutting Haley out. Should I have given her the chance to explain? Or did I do the right thing by moving on, cutting ties, and starting fresh? Whatever the case, I know that I've made peace with the decision. Life is about moving forward, and right now, I'm doing just that.